أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد. Respected elders, brothers, sisters, youngsters, children, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have gathered here tonight for the weekly Thursday lectures that are held in this venue. Thursday night is a blessed night, the Laylatul Qadr of the week, as we are told by our scholars. And just like any Laylatul Qadr, the best of Amal on a Laylatul Qadr is to seek knowledge. To learn anything on that night is the most blessed of actions. So may Allah accept this small effort from us. We have gathered here, inshallah, we will exchange some ideas. Of course, the topic is related to the conflict that is going on in the Middle East, in Gaza. If you remember the closing remarks of my lecture on the 5th of October, I'd say that it looks like the world is being constricted by a snake. And wherever you go, you see the snake, you see parts of the snake. But I mentioned that the head of the snake is in occupied Palestine. And I'd also mentioned that credit goes to our brothers in Palestine who are fighting with this head of the snake. And 2 days later, we had this Tufan al-Quds on the 7th of October. Not that I predicted it or anything like that. But it was something that was going to happen. And it was expected. It was just a matter of when. And it's an operation that has changed the world. There's an awakening that is happening around the globe, which hasn't been seen for a long, long time. And it's at a different level altogether. There was a patient who came to the dental clinic the other day, and she was waiting in the waiting room. Of course, she had an appointment, but I was busy with another patient, and the treatment went on longer than I expected. So I kept her waiting outside for almost 2 hours. When she came in, I apologized to her. I said, "I'm sorry, I kept you waiting." She said, no, time passed. I didn't know how time passed. Like, how do you keep yourself busy? She says, "This screen that you have in front of you." So I have that Quran screen in the clinic. So she's sitting on the chair, she's looking at the Quran, and a verse changes every 4 minutes. And this has been a big blessing. We have one in the mosque, and I've mentioned it in almost all my lectures here as to how Quran communicates with us. Atul Jawadi Amuli says that Quran is a love letter written to every individual. It's a personal love letter, so read it like a love letter, and rightly so. So this lady was sitting there, and she's telling me that I kept on reading the verses, and every 2-3 verses I could relate it to Gaza. This is how relevant the Holy Quran is. So allow me to give you some relevance from the Holy Quran. One of the surahs that is recommended on this night of Thursday night is Surah Waqi'ah. If you can recite it every day, at least once a week on a Thursday night. Chapter 56, says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا وقعت الواقعة. When the great event comes to pass by. So there's some here who might remember that we had a detailed tafsir of this surah with Sheikh Murtada Lidina long back. I think it was one of the first surahs that we started off with. So waqa'at al-waqi'ah, this great event, definitely refers to the day of Qiyamah. That great event which will be overwhelming. But again, ulamas tell us that Qiyamah, Jannah, Jahannam is happening on a daily basis. It's just that we are not aware of it. So there are some events which might not be as overwhelming as the day of Qiyamah in this world, but they are events that have a capacity to shake the world. And Tufan al-Quds, the flood of Quds, is one of them. By the way, I'm not trying to interpret Quran the way I think. I bounced this idea off a scholar and I told him that I'm going to use this. Please, it shouldn't be that I am doing tafsir bil rai. I'm doing it based on my own whims. So he said, no. Just like Sheikh Murtada Lidina, if you see the Surah Asr, every Jummah, Surah Asr has a different interpretation. So all events are important, but there are some events which are stronger than the others, which have a capacity to shake the world. لَيْسَ لِوَقَعَتِهَا كَاذِبَةٌ. There is no belying it's coming to pass. You can't belie this event. It's definitely going to happen. Yes, again, it's the day of Qiyamah. It is part of God's justice. It can't be that we live in this world and a day of justice has got to come in, where justice will be given out for all the actions that we did. فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَى وَشَرًّا يَرَى. But even this event, it was coming. The Egyptians, they say, warned the occupiers that we have some credible reports that it's going to happen. And some people use this to say, okay, no, they knew about it. Not even the top scholars. For those of you who heard Sayyid Hassan Nasrullah last week or a few days back, he said even he didn't know. Yes, there was something happening, but nobody knew when it was going to happen. But it was expected. You keep people oppressed for 75 years and expect to get away from it, get away with it. It's not going to happen. لَيْسَ لِوَقَعَتِهَا كَاذِبَةٌ خَافِضَةٌ رَافِعَةٌ. Abasing one party and exalting the other. And this is what has happened. As a result of this Tufan al-Quds, some people have risen in ranks and some people have gone down. And truly, it has been a flash of light. There are some people that we really look down upon, kudharao, as we say in Kiswahili. Nobody expected this. Yet today they are exalted. And there are some people who are high up there. They are struggling today. إِذَا رُجَّتِ الْأَرْضُ رَجَّةً. When the earth shall be shaken with the severe shaking. Yes, definitely, it's the day of Qiyamah. But again, this event has shaken the world. It has shaken everybody's conscience. It has shaken everybody's fitrah. Muslims and non-Muslims, all of them. وَبُسَّتِ الْجِبَالُ بَسًّا. And the mountains shall be made to crumble with an awful crumbling. Mountains, yes, physical mountains, but it also stands for the ego, for the superpowers. These are the mountains of this world, and we see them crumbling in front of our eyes. The fourth largest army in the world, a superpower, all struggling in front of a people who are fighting from the Gaza metro It has really brought mountains crumbling down in front of our eyes. We're living in a very special time. We're witnessing something in front of our eyes. So we need to pay attention to it. The huge plan that Benjamin Netanyahu came up with in the United Nations, full of contempt for all the Arab countries and for the Palestinians. He comes up with a map and he draws a line, a plan for the new Middle East. This is the mountain talking. And you are going to build even bigger mountains. This is just a few days before Tufan al-Quds. And a week later, you see the mountain crumbling. Nobody is talking about that plan anymore. So mountains have come down crumbling. فَكَانَتْ هَبَاءً مُنْبَثًّا. And so that they shall be scattered dust. And this is what we see in front of our eyes. And this is very important. وَكُنْتُمْ أَزْوَاجًا ثَلَاثًا. On the day of Qiyamah, you will be sorted into 3 groups. But this event also, it has clearly brought about a demarcation. There are 3 groups. فَأَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ. Then as to the companions of the right hand, how happy are the companions of the right hand? Right hand, yes, they made an effort. People who are protesting, of course he's talking about the day of Qiyamah, but this is a smaller event. People who are protesting on the streets, debates, writers, analysts, interviews, everybody is making their own effort. The people drawing, the artists are all out there making every effort. The people contributing money, trying to send aid to Gaza. Ashabul Maymana. We will be lucky if you are counted in this group, the Ashabul Maymana. And may Allah accept this effort of ours, and hopefully with this, He may, inshallah, if we qualify among the Ashabul Maymana, as far as this event is concerned. وَأَصْحَابُ الْمَشْعَمَةِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَشْعَمَةِ. And as to the companions of the left hand, how wretched are the companions of the left hand. People who are in total denial. Allahu Akbar. This has been such an event that has taken off the veils in front of people's faces. There were intellectuals who we thought were against the Zionists. And this event, for some reason, has taken off the veils, and we know exactly where they stand. You look at their response. Bernie Sanders, a few days back, gave an interview on CNN, and he says there should be no ceasefire. He's an intellectual. Since his young days, he's been speaking against the Zionist movement. And there are people who are actually standing behind him. He's an independent candidate, a senator. Yet, he hasn't been able to differentiate between a freedom fighter and a terrorist. He says Hamas should be destroyed. Hamas should be eliminated. There are some governments which were beacons of hope against the apartheid movement. When the apartheid movement in South Africa was going on, there were some countries which were beacons of hope. They were looked upon, and they would accommodate the freedom fighters. Today, when it comes to this event, they've opted to take a neutral stance. They can't differentiate between that apartheid and this apartheid. Just a few years later, the veil has been taken off. What has happened? وَالسَّابِقُونَ السَّابِقُونَ. And the foremost are the foremost. The Sabiqun in this battle of Quds. Obviously on the day of Qiyamah, Sabiqun are those who are in the forefront in this world. This is talking about the day of Qiyamah. But as far as this event is concerned, the mothers and children of Gaza, right on the battlefield, giving their lives, fully supporting the Mujahideen. And the clips are in front of us. This is very different from the Holocaust that happened in the 1940s. People came to know about it later on. This is happening in front of our eyes in real time. We see children dying. We see parents holding the children in their hands. Mothers dying. But they're not giving up. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel is the verse on everybody's lip. A father says, "Oh Allah, take this, accept this from me." He's holding his dead child in his hand in the hospital. "Oh Allah, accept this from me and take more from me." These are the Sabiqun. The Mujahideen in the Metro Gaza, in the Gaza Metro. See how bravely they're fighting. It's day 34 now, or day 35. No signs of the missiles reducing. In fact, they are inflicting damage upon the enemies. So many vehicles, tanks destroyed. Sabiqun, Sabiqun, they are right there at the front. The Hezbollah on the north, they've started giving martyrs. Anybody would love to live in peace. Hezbollah all this time were enjoying a sense of peace. They had an option of just enjoying and still continuing with that peaceful life. But no, they've come on the forefront in support of the Mujahideen in Gaza. They've started giving martyrs. They've also had to evacuate people from South Lebanon towards Beirut. Our Lebanese brothers who are here, they tell us, these are the Sabiqun. Our Yemeni brothers, after going through a war themselves, they were enjoying a peaceful moment, yet they've left that peaceful moment behind and said, no, we are going to support our brothers in Gaza. وَالسَّابِقُونَ السَّابِقُونَ. And of course, Syria on one side, which is giving every support that they can. And behind the scenes, the Islamic Republic of Iran, which of course has set the foundation. We had one lecture here, the game changer, 1979, how it changed everything. By now, Palestine would have been history. Yet, 1979 changed everything. Shahid Qasim Soleimani, Shahid Imad Mughniya were the ones who set the foundation. The Sabiqun as-Sabiqun. Ulaika al-Muqarrabun. Not only them, but the medics, the nurses, and not only Muslims, non-Muslims. Dr. Ghassan, of course, he's a Palestinian, British Palestinian. We've seen him on the screen. When his hospital was bombed, he stood in the middle of the dead bodies and gave a press conference. He's left his career and his family back in the UK, and he's serving the people of Gaza. Emily Callahan, the nurse, the American nurse, who gave an interview on CNN which has gone viral. Amazing what she's saying. And they say, would you go back? And she says, in a heartbeat, I would go back to Gaza. What is in Gaza? What's happening on the ground? Why is it that people just want to go back? Their hearts are attached to Gaza. Ulaika al-Muqarrabun. These are they who are drawn closer to Allah. The people of Gaza have been brought closer to Allah. And whoever is on that land just now feels the closeness to Allah. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel is on their lips. It is no less than our harams that we visit. When you go to the haram or Masjid al-Nabawi or Masjid al-Haram, the closeness that you feel, the spiritual upliftment that you feel, it looks like in the midst of war, the people who are there, who are fighting, Muslims and non-Muslims, all of them are feeling a sense of spirituality, a sense of spiritual upliftment. Ulaika al-Muqarrabun. Verily, God has brought them closer. The shuhada, We hear of people smelling the smell of musk. He says, all this time we were just hearing it. Now we can smell it, the smell of musk amongst the shuhada. So it's amazing what is happening. And when you see Ayatollah Khamenei saying that I want to go and kiss the hands of the Mujahideen in Gaza. These people are truly spiritually uplifted. Ulaika al-muqarrabun. So Gaza can be analyzed with different lenses. Of course, there's political analysis. We have plenty of analysts online. Again, I would warn all of you, or I would advise all of you, avoid mainstream media. I talk to my patients when they come in and tell them, do you know about what is happening in Gaza? And say, yes, we have all the 4 channels. We have CNN, we have Sky News, we have BBC, we have Fox News, and we watch all of them, and we change channels to keep ourselves updated. And I'm thinking, no, please don't do that. After so many days, I opened BBC the other day, it broke my heart. Suddenly I started feeling hopeless. I started getting that fear in my heart. Avoid mainstream media. They're cooking up things. They're demoralizing us. So my advice to all of you would be avoid mainstream media. If you want to do comparative study, okay. But look at political analysis. Few recommendations, of course. I listen to Richard Medhurst. I've mentioned him quite a few times here. A young journalist based in Vienna. He has his own channel. He's been taken off YouTube because of his content, but now he's on Rumble. So you can follow him daily, on a daily basis. He's giving his analysis. George Galloway has his own program whereby he brings in guests. His analysis is okay. Muhammad Marandi, the Professor Marandi from University of Tehran, on Twitter, his analysis is good. Sami Hamdi, it's the first time I heard him during this crisis. Sami Hamdi is an Arab, but a super analyst, and he looks at all the news and reads all the newspapers, and he's very good at analyzing events, and he's been hired by governments to give them an analysis on the ground. So Sami Hamdi is a good analyst that you can listen to. Vijay Prashad is another one that you can listen to. So these are just alternatives that we have. The Cradle has some good articles. Pepe Escobar is one of my favorites. Dan Cohen, I think. He's also a Jew, by the way, but his analysis is spot on. He comes on Mint Press News. So these are channels that we can watch to keep ourselves updated with whatever is happening on the ground. So this is one way of looking at it. Political analysis is one way. We can look at it economically. You have the World Bank and IMF talking there, but on the other side you have economic analysts as to what is happening to the economy of Israel and how it's going to affect the economy of the world, how oil prices are going to go up. So it prepares us. You know what to expect in the future. So it's important to keep ourselves updated with that. Of course, as far as the medical situation is concerned, you have WHO giving us an update. You have the United Nations giving us an update. What is happening on the ground? Hospitals are closing down. Hospitals are running out of fuel. They're running out of medicine. But they're still surviving. Day 34 is still going on. This is a miracle on its own. But there's one more angle that I wanted to address tonight. And that is the engagement on the war front. When we look at the news, how gruesome it is, how brutal it is. I know of so many people who have had to go on medication. Our own brothers here, people who watch TV and who watch these clips, they've gone on medication. Sleeping pills, analgesics, antidepressants, with just what they're watching. It's disturbing. People can't sleep at night. People can't eat. People have lost their appetites. So it's gruesome. But sometimes you have to ask yourself, what is it that took the Israelis to this level? How can a person kill like this ruthlessly? To this extent, what is it that is driving them? Of course, there are many factors, but one factor is it's the corrupt rabbis who are encouraging them. People who have misinterpreted the Jewish law, or people who have read the Torah and misinterpreted the laws in there, and they are the ones encouraging them. So a top right-wing journalist, Amit Segal, a few days back, he released a statement in saying that leading rabbis, both religious, Zionists and ultra-Orthodox, have given a halakha law approval. That is a fatwa like, it is halal. It is called the way, based on Torah. So you're told it's halal to bomb innocent Palestinians if they're used as human shields. And they specifically told the Israeli government that you can go and bomb Al-Shifa hospital. They've been warning Al-Shifa hospital for the longest time that we are going to bomb this hospital. They've already bombed another hospital. They've bombed the vicinity of Al-Shifa hospital. You have so many sick people inside there. People have taken refuge thinking that a hospital area is safe. And here these rabbis, corrupt rabbis, a few, they come together and they've signed a document. Almost 50 rabbis have signed this document telling the Israeli government that it's okay, it's halal according to Torah, it's halal to bomb this hospital because the militants are using the civilians as human shields. So go ahead and bomb Al-Shifa hospital. There's another rabbi, Manis Friedman. I used to listen to him and I used to enjoy listening to him. If you see his YouTube channel, he has almost 400,000 viewers who watch his YouTube channel. And some good stuff. At that time he was talking about money matters, how to save money, the Jewish way. And a very good speaker, very, he catches your attention. And I thought he was wise. Once I took his clip, he talked about money or something. And I was so impressed. I took the clip and I sent it to a scholar in Qom. I told him, please tell me, is this Musa or Samri? Please clarify. Yet, Khafidatul Rafi'ah, as Surah Waqiyah says, some people have been raised, some people have been dropped. People have fallen in front of the world's eyes. The same rabbi has come up with clips. Okay, what do you mean by a proportional response? Is it eye for an eye? If they kill two people, you kill two? He says, no. It's proportional to peace. So keep hitting them, keep killing them until peace is achieved. And peace not for one day, peace for 40 years. So kill to such an extent that you're ensured of peace for 40 years. So he says if you've killed 11,000 people so far or more, and now you ask for a ceasefire, the lives of all these 11,000 people has gone to vain. Because within 5 years you're going to have another war. So keep killing until peace is achieved. So he says, don't stop. He's telling the Israeli government, don't stop until you get peace. And he gives an example of Germany. He says Germany thought they'll get away with everything, but they were taught a lesson. And now we've seen peace for 75 years. And he gives an example of Japan. He says Japan thought they could do whatever they want, but they were defeated, and now we have peace for 8 years. And Japan is progressing. Germany is progressing. So the same thing should happen with these people. There should be no ceasefire. Keep killing until peace is achieved. It is okay to bomb holy sites. It's okay to kill women and children and cattle. It's all proportionate. It's all proportionate to peace. And he says, don't hide it. Show it in public. Muhammad Marandi says, okay, what the Germans did, at least they were hiding it. They had the shame of hiding their atrocities. Here, it's all in the open and they're being encouraged. Show it. Why? He says, if you bomb their holy sites, it will clearly show that God is not on their side. And if you bomb and you kill the women and children, they'll stop using these women and children as human shields. So kill them and show it in public so that they don't do this. Until peace is achieved for 40 years. This is people behind the scenes advising the Israeli government. And then he says, the Torah tells us, don't kill civilians. So he says, who is a civilian? He says a civilian is one who, when he's told to evacuate, he evacuates. He doesn't stay where. So this time they've given orders for people to evacuate northern Gaza, go to south. So he says people who have followed this order are civilians, don't kill them. Yet they've killed them. Don't bomb them. A person who obviously raises a white flag in front of you, he's a civilian, don't kill him. Whoever stays back after being given the notice is a target. Kill them. And then he ends, he says, Jewish morality makes sense because it prevents death. This is his statement. Jewish morality makes sense because it prevents death. Scare them and don't give them a chance to confront you. He says even kill the Israeli hostages who are there. Because if you allow them to use these hostages to bargain or to get their prisoners released, they're going to kidnap even more hostages. So tell them we don't care about these hostages. Kill the hostages, bomb everybody. Bomb the women, kill the children, kill the prisoners, kill the men, kill the cattle. Level everything to the ground so that they learn a lesson and they don't stand up in front of us. This is a rabbi talking. Of course, it's not fair to generalize. There are so many Jewish rabbis who have come out to say, okay, no, this is not what the Torah teaches us. But nobody listens to them. We've seen clips whereby even they have been abused and hurt by the Israeli forces. So they don't want to listen to the people who have learned and interpreted the Torah properly. But these people who encourage them, they are the ones who are embraced. So this is one side of the story. And this is where Israel is coming from. The brutality that we see, many reasons, but one of the main reasons is this. And they feel that they're doing good. It is from the Torah. And these rabbis are encouraging them. On the other hand, see how the religion of Islam guides us when it comes to warfare. There's a nice book on alislam.org, Military Management in the Battles of the Prophet. This is one analysis that we don't hear of very often as to how the Prophet conducted his wars in detail by Muhammad Zahir Water. Detailed analysis of each and every war of the Prophet, how he would get the forces, how he would get his supplies, how would he send out missions to spy on the enemy, his treatment of prisoners of war, how he would treat prisoners of war, how he would engage during war. Then there's another article, a small booklet that has been written by Professor Joel Hayward. He's a guy from New Zealand, very interesting. So he's based in the UAE, and when you read the author's information in this book, he says he's been given the ijazah to quote hadith and to interpret hadith. And he's an advisor to the government of the UAE when it comes to military affairs. So he's written Islamic Principles of War for the 21st Century. He's written a book, Islamic Principles of War for the 21st Century. And he's given 9 principles which can be used in wars today. Now one wonders if he was advising the government of UAE. It's a brilliant article, Quranic verses, and it's very much in line with this book on alislam.org. But you'd wonder if he was advising the government of UAE, then why didn't he advise them when they were fighting a war in Yemen? Because these principles should have been applied. And if you go through these principles, it's very clear. But allow me to quote Ayatollah Sistani, may Allah prolong his life and may Allah keep him safe, inshallah. When he gave a fatwa for people to come out and defend the land of Iraq against the ISIS, when he did that, he came up with a 20-point document. He says, keep these 20 points in mind, because these were just volunteers. And see the guidelines that he gives. So these 2 books that I've quoted first, these are purely from the Quran and a few hadith. But Ayatollah Sistani's recommendations and guidelines for the people of the war front is based on Quran and hadith of Ahlul Bayt. And I'm just going to mention a few. Firstly, he says, "O warriors, not everybody can do jihad." And if you want, you can go through this document. It's a brilliant, not a very long read, but it's amazing the amount of guidance that is given to us, and how fortunate are we to have scholars like these people. Amazing guidelines. He says, not everybody can do jihad. So the few people who have been chosen, you are the chosen ones. So represent God justly. You are representatives of God. Represent him justly. Justice. Do not indulge in acts of extremism during war. Do not disrespect the dead corpses, the dead bodies. Do not disrespect them. Do not resort to deceit, trickery, lying in war. Do not kill an elder. Do not kill a child. Do not kill a woman. Clear guidelines. And I want you to keep it in front of the Zionist rabbis, the kind of guidance that they are giving, and see what our scholars are teaching. Do not cut trees unless it's absolutely necessary. And this is not only humans now, it's talking about plants and trees. Then he tells them, by the majesty of God, souls are sacred. Be it a soul of a Muslim or a non-Muslim. All souls are sacred. So respect them. He says, do not deny those who fight you their basic rights. Those who are fighting against you, the enemies, don't deny them their basic rights. And look at this war in Gaza. No electricity, no water, no food, no medicine. These are human animals. And see the guidelines that have been given here. Don't deny your enemies their basic human rights. Number 9, very important. During war, maintain your prayers. Don't forget salah. Keep up salah. Recite the Quran often. And we see this, the clips that are coming out of the Gaza metro. They've taken people on a tour of this Gaza metro, of the tunnels under Gaza. And they see the warriors busy in the recitation of the Holy Quran. They didn't even have time to look up as to who has come in. Do not be hasty in your decisions. When you're making a decision, make it carefully. Remove hatred from your hearts and bigotry. Don't discriminate, even amongst yourselves and the ones whom you're fighting. Do it for the sake of Allah. There should be no hatred in your hearts. And they're almost, it goes up to 20, and some have been explained in detail. I've just given you a small summary, but see the guidelines. When it comes to Hezbollah, they are following this to the dot. People are already saying, why isn't Iran going in? Why isn't Hezbollah going in? Well, these are the guidelines of the Mujtahideen. Don't make haste. Take your time. Analyze. Muhammad Marandi says Hezbollah is not Pakistan. It's not a nation. It doesn't have a whole army. It's just a few individuals. There's a whole country behind them. They have to take everybody on board. With the actions of Hezbollah, if the rest of Lebanon is attacked, it won't be right. So it's a very calculated move. We need to be patient. They're following the rules and guidelines given by the Mujtahideen. And Hamas too. The warriors, the Mujahideen of Hamas. So this October 7th, when it happened, the mainstream media came up to say the beheading of the children, 40 children were beheaded, and the women were raped, and they killed innocent people. All false information. Now reports are coming out that yes, 1,400 people died on the 7th of October. Most of them were combatants, but now reports are coming out that it was the Israeli army that killed their own people. And who can verify this other than the prisoners who are hostage, who have been taken hostage? When the prisoners are released, finally, those two ladies who were released said so much. They were given a script, they kept it aside, and it worked against them. So now, releasing of the prisoners also is a problem, because they will be able to say what happened on the 7th of October. Nobody is going to trust the Hamas version. But even when you see how they're engaging, how they're taking care of, they're reducing the civilian deaths, they're engaging the army, they're killing soldiers, they're destroying the Israeli government vehicles. And same with Hezbollah on the other side. So this is based on the guidelines of the scholars. And if you see their akhlaq, the two prisoners who were released, that lady on leaving, she turns back and she has to shake hands with her captive. Just showing that the akhlaq that they were shown when they were taken hostage. And this is based on the guidelines of the Prophet and his Ahlul Bayt and the Quran and the ulama. They are following to the dot, and the ulamas have told them that if you follow this, verily Allah's help will come. You have to follow the rules. If you break the law is going to break you. So they are following the laws and leaving the rest to Allah. And you see the Quranic verses that they are reciting. We recite this verse when we come in the airport, when we are carrying stuff, fishy stuff, and we see the custom officer, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ سَدًّا وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ سَدًّا فَغْشَيْنَاهُمْ فَهُمْ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ سُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. And here you have the same Hamas fighter holding a bomb in his hand, coming out from the tunnel and going towards an Israeli tank and reciting the same verse. On the other hand, he's saying, Allah, it is not me throwing this stone. This is the Quranic verse. I cannot read the verse accurately. The word is Rama. It's not me throwing the stone, it's you. It's Allah who is throwing the stone. So he's coming out with his RPG and saying, it's Allah, it is you. Make it hit the target, and you see how effective it is. So Allah's promise definitely is working out. We see it happening in front of our eyes. It's a very special time that we're living in. But our faiths are going to be tested. So we have three groups, and we have a choice. You have the Ashabul Yamin, Ashabul Maymana, Ashabul Mash'ama, and we have the Sabiqun. There is no neutral party here. We can't maintain a neutral stance. We need to be aware, Ayatollah Khamenei's statement, that the events that are going to happen, darker days are coming. I heard Marandi yesterday. Darker days are expected ahead of us. Our faith is going to be tested, but we need to uplift ourselves. And that only comes through awareness, attentiveness. We need to see what we're reading. We need to get our sources right. We need to get our analysis right. We need to unite. We need to discuss. And always be on the right path. It shouldn't be that we slip. So many people, scholars are slipping, countries are slipping when it comes to decision making. May Allah keep us on the right path And more importantly, we pray for our brothers, sisters, and children of Gaza, of Lebanon. May Allah protect them, and may Allah give them a quick victory, inshallah, and may He hasten the reappearance of the 12th Imam, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.